Hi. The topic of the day today is Chianti, the Italian red wine. Now, there is actually so much to know, and there's a lot of information out there about Chianti, but just for the purposes of keeping it brief and just giving you the fundamentals, I'm gonna just stick to the main points. So, the main things to know about Chianti is that it's a delicious red wine made in the region of Tuscany in Italy. And it was kind of founded in terms of the category. It was founded in the 1700s, early 1700s. And the makeup of the wine in terms of grapes, it can vary to some degree, but the general rule is that the main grape in Chianti must always be Sangiovese. So 80% of any Chianti wine must contain Sangiovese. But that has changed over the years, and so these days you can even get some Chianti wines that are 100% Sangiovese. You can get some Chiantis that have a mixture of the Sangiovese and even white grape varieties, or in other cases with other red grape varieties. So to give you an example, I've got a Chianti here with me that I bought a couple of days ago, and this one is Sangiovese with Merlot. So, it can actually be blended with not just indigenous grape varieties to Italy, but also international grape varieties. Anyway, so this wine has become world famous. It's really, really popular because you can have it in different tiers of quality. So you can have a Chianti DOC or even a Chianti DOCG. You can get Chiantis which have been aged considerably, or you can get quite fresh, young Chiantis. When a Chianti has been aged for more than, say, 2-3 years, it tends to have the label Chianti Reserva written on it. So, like my one, for example, which has been aged for 2+ years, has Reserva written on the label. Over the years since the category was kind of founded in the 1700s, they did revise the area in which Chianti is grown, or the so-called wine-growing region of Chianti. So it did change over time. So it was in about the 1930s that the area that was called Chianti was completely revised, and they split it into 7 sub-regions. Probably one of the ones, if you've heard of Chianti already, one of the more famous sub-regions of the kind of 7 subcategories of Chianti is Chianti Classico. And Chianti Classico has a lot of prestige attached to it, partly because that area of Chianti is where the original area was. So it's an area which contains the original area that was classed as Chianti before the 7 sub-regions were introduced. So talking more specifically about Chianti Classico, it is the largest of those 7 sub-areas that I mentioned. The other sub-areas, I can name them for you because I've got them written down here. So you've got, firstly, obviously the Classico, then you've got Colli Aretini, Colli Fiorentini, Colline Pisane, Colli Senesi, Montalbano and Rufina. So there are 7, but Chianti Classico does tend to be one that people really look for because it contains that original Chianti heartland. So for anyone who's not tried it, what can you expect from a Chianti? Well, firstly, it's a really, really smooth red wine. So if you're somebody who normally enjoys Merlot, I really recommend Chianti. It has a tendency to show more red fruit flavors than, say, black fruit. So you would get like maybe some red cherry, maybe even some sour cherry, and maybe some plummy flavors, but tend to be more like red plum flavors. And also a smokiness as well. And depending on the age of the Chianti, you might also get some other sort of secondary or even tertiary aromas. But generally, if it's quite a young Chianti, you will get lots of red fruit, quite high acidity, and that's why also it's a really great food wine, because if you are on holiday, for example, enjoying Italian food, which often uses things that are quite high in acidity like tomatoes, it works really well because it can match the acidity of the food. So like a lasagna or, you know, spaghetti bolognese, all these kind of really typical Italian dishes always go really well with Chianti. So in terms of price point, like I said, you don't have to break the bank to get a Chianti wine. I mean, you can if you want to get one of the more prestigious Chiantis from, you know, a particularly famous producer, or if you're going for the DOCGs. But just shop around. I mean, this Chianti, which is actually a DOCG, did cost me less than £10 because it was on offer. You just need to look in the right places. But definitely, if you've never tried it, give it a go and let me know what you think and comment on the video.